Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage. Today we are going through the Swamp Find 39 Mercury Coupe that everyone loves to hate. So last time we showed you guys dragging this car home, we kind of just plopped it off the trailer. I've been so busy with getting the free tee ready for the Wheels of Time show, which we just got done with. I didn't really even do anything but try and fight the hornet's nest that's in this thing. So I haven't really hardly looked at anything. The only one thing I did do is I stole the dipstick tube out of the engine for the free tee, and surprisingly the engine had like super clean oil in it. It was actually full, which is really weird. But the engine is stuck. But what we're going to do is do a walk around, sort of clean out of the car, probably a little more power washing than actually clean out, because I don't really, this thing's pretty gross. But I want to go through and just try and see how bad it is, and just see what we have here, and what the next steps are going to be, whether I keep it, sell it, junk it, I don't know. We'll see. But let's take a look, and as always, we'll have some fun doing it. Alright, so let's open the hood and show you guys what's going on underneath here. So surprisingly, the hood latch in the front here is actually not like super broken, which they normally are. The hood latch is actually free, and the hood opens, but it's definitely starting to separate on the sides. The far side over there, the brace has separated. The key thing the car came with is a hood prop, an old broomstick or something under the hood here, so we can prop that up precariously. And what's kind of cool is this car actually has a 59 AB engine in it. So it's a 39 Ford, but it has a later 59 AB engine in it. So at some point in its life it was obviously swapped out. As I mentioned, I pulled the dipstick tube out, and the oil was super clean. Even though the dipstick tube was like crazy dirty, the oil was really clean in this thing. But I'm sure the engine is stuck. I haven't really tried, but with something like this sitting this long and it being a flathead, I'm sure it's stuck. So the engine may be good, but it's definitely stuck, and not something we can just get running really easily. So all the wiring seems to be pretty much intact, just dirty. This thing even has what's left of a thermostat, and this is the old style thermostat here. Same thing. So the radiator, I think I spotted inside the car somewhere. All the wiring is in place. It kind of just looks like they just like parked the thing and it was still running, other than somebody stealing the radiator out of it. So who knows what made this thing sit. But the engine bay in here, I'll get some shots that will drop in here. The firewall, you can actually still see some of the original paint on it, and the firewall is actually pretty darn clean. There's not really any pitting or anything like that. The ID tag's still on it. The inner fenders are actually pretty decent on this thing, other than where the battery tray area is, where they rot out pretty often from the acid from the battery. But the firewall is actually really solid on this thing, which is pretty surprising even to me, being optimistic about this car. Great thing is it still has some foliage left in the car. In the engine bay that was growing up through, those plants that were growing up through, there's still some of them floating around in here. And yeah, so under the hood is not actually that bad for where it's sat, which is pretty surprising. Alright, one thing I forgot to mention, it's got this pretty interesting little oil filler breather cap thing here. Normally there's like a half twist cap that goes on, and is the breather and also is the oil fill, but this has a little like spring-loaded flap on it, and it has this little flexible piece that goes down. It's the breather. I'm not sure if this was like a aftermarket thing. You can see it was made for the flathead because it has that little slot there, the little track like an original setup would have, but it has this weird little tube. Maybe somebody can correct me. Maybe this is a 39 part that I'm not familiar with. I'm definitely not an expert in all things Ford, but I feel like I've seen a lot of stuff in my day, and that's something I haven't come across yet. But pretty interesting little part. I imagine it would have probably ran all the way down between the exhaust and the road draft tube would have went all the way down, but this one has broken off. It was probably just drafting the interior of the car over time. And oh, holy crap, score, got a screwdriver. Just saw that while I was filming. Sitting down below, got ourselves a flathead screwdriver to add to the collection. Man, this car is already worth something. Pay me back already. Let's see if there's anything down here quick. No tools or $100 bills yet. Okay, the front end bumper grill area on this car. This has a really cool accessory bumper mount on the car that like a ton of people messaged me about buying when they first saw photos of the car on my Instagram. But this thing is roached. Even the guys were like, oh, I could fix that. That thing's junk. It's, in fact, won't even need any tools to take it off. But bumper guard is no good, unfortunately. But what I wanted to show you guys mainly was the grill, which is obviously pretty rare. The bars, the stainless, are like really nice on this thing. I don't know how it like survived. Now the center strip here is broken over the years. That's like a pot metal that's made out of, I believe, as you can see there, it's like a remnant, so it's like a pot metal. Other than some mold or algae on the car from just sitting in a damp situation, it's really solid. Down at the bottom where they kind of at the chin where they all rust, it's obviously got a little bit of rust in the sheet metal there. But that's pretty easy to fix. The main thing is that the bars are all pretty much intact, and the stainless looks all pretty good on that. So this is definitely a score on this car, that this grill, even with sitting almost in the mud like it was, it didn't get ripped off the car and totally damaged other than that center piece of trim. Alright, so we'll do a quick walk around the car before we get in it. Obviously it's 39, so the wheels are the wide 5. This one still has the Mercury hubcap on it. I think some of the other wheels actually, over the years, somebody put Ford wheels. That one's Mercury still. I think this one's still, yeah. Still got the Mercury caps, which are a little harder to find if you're into that stuff. And then here on the driver's side, I think I saw Ford caps. They're different, that's for sure. It's got the ribs there. I believe that's a Ford cap. I know the front's definitely, yeah, you can see the zoom in there, V8 on it. So it's a Ford cap, I believe. But right where we're sitting in the mud, I'll try and, it's like, I don't know if we can get in there. It's all crunched. Not good. But, so you can see the front tire, the tube is just like sticking out there. So that's one of the things we're gonna have to do, even to check what this thing's like, is get some wheels with tires that actually will hold air and aren't popping apart. This is probably the scariest side of the car. When they were ripping it out of the junkyard, they were grabbing on it, and I think the frame started separating, which opened this door gap up. I'm not actually that worried, believe it or not. The door, I did start to open it a little bit, but she's a little stiff, so I have to be careful with that. But the bottom couple inches are definitely not good. The fenders got a little messed up. The thing was stuck in the mud, and everybody was hating on the guy running the machine, but honestly there wasn't a much better way to get it out of there. It was kind of stuck so deep in the mud that we would have had to pluck it out by the roof or something. We didn't have a machine to do that, so that is what happened. But obviously the bottom area there it needs replacement, but what car from the 30s anymore that's been sitting outside doesn't. Bottom of the fenders. The rear end is sitting so low because we thought it's because the body separated from the frame, but actually what happened is the rear leaf spring, I don't even know if I can get under there. I can maybe zoom in and see. That rear leaf spring is sitting on the ground. That's it there. Try and zoom. Rear leaf spring is on the ground right there. Like right, put my finger in there, right there. Behind the strap is the leaf spring. It is junk, broken, and it just let the whole ass end of the car just fall. So that's not good. Car came from Minnesota, which we mentioned in the video, and we pulled it out. A bunch of the local older guys are into Fords. They've been telling me how Chuck that owned the yard wouldn't sell anything, and they were after this car for years. Apparently this car was pretty nice when he put it in there. But the back end's pretty good. One thing I'll notice, you know, I'm still fighting that this thing's worth saving. A lot of you guys aren't. The metal is actually like really solid in here. Like, I mean, there's flaky paint, a little bit of pitting, but like all these compound curve areas that are really hard to replace or make, like the roof in here, all that stuff is hard to make if you don't have the tools or the skills, and it's all really solid on this car. This area in here is like a reverse curve area that's really difficult to make, and it's pretty good until we get back down to like near the bottom here where it was banged up pretty good. And bumpers are all messed up, they're junk, they're just bent and pitted and broken from sitting. Both of the headlights have these like, I think they're aftermarket add-on, like sealed beam headlights that people would have added as the years went on. The little housings are actually good. They have these cool little lenses in them. So if anybody is looking for these little light housings or lenses and would like to add them on a car of this era, it should fit. They were kind of universal, and I will basically give them away. So just drop a comment, and if you want to pay shipping, I will give you those headlight rings that you can do whatever you please with them. Alright, so there's the radiator. Found that. It actually looks, other than some of the raccoon crap on it, looks pretty good. It actually doesn't look too bad overall, surprisingly, other than the raccoons that were living on it. So front seat, didn't take anything to get out. Didn't even take any tools, my favorite when I take an old car apart. So here is the inside of the car. I know it's tough to see with the glare or the sun, but shadows. But front floor is junk as expected. Still has trans is still in it. Somebody stole the glove box along the way, which is not a surprise. Still got that early Mercury wheel in it, and that really neat gauge cluster and everything in it. Rear seat I didn't take out yet. We'll get to that shortly. I just wanted to give you guys a little update with my respirator off. I can speak and show you guys what's going on without breathing in too much of the stuff. So gas pedal, or a gas pedal, is down there somewhere. But floor is junk as expected, but the frame is rusty. You can see the old muffler, original muffler there. Inner rocker on this side is what was really scary that a lot of people were commenting on, that was hanging under the car. Inner rocker area right there is all broken and junk, but you know what that means? Makes it easier to channel. Mother Nature did all the hard work to channel this one, so it would be a perfect candidate to channel. So we're gonna get the rest of this kind of junk out of here, vacuum it out, and get the rear seat maybe out of the way, and some of this glass that's hanging down there. Get all the dangerous stuff and parts. I already got a little pile of parts going up here. We got the This goes underneath the dash on the bottom. Something like that goes underneath there. It's the mate to the ignition switch area column cover. Mirror, another bumper cover, and a window crank that's seen better days. So we're gonna keep digging. I don't think we're gonna find too much in here exciting parts wise inside the car other than raccoon poop and rust, but never know.
Making it look too easy, man.
For a door, that's for this door. Oh boy. Hey, there's a wheel back there. Ooh. Yes. Look at that. Good as new. Well, see if there's any bees left in here. Oh boy. Still a couple left.
Alright, I just got the driver's rear door card out, and this was kind of interesting. So these little scratches, little raccoon scratches. That was their entryway or something. They were scratching or climbing in and out. So little our former residents of the 39 Mercury were, they owe us some deposit money, security deposit money there.
There we go. Another Black 5 wheel.
Some off-road tire.
Yeah. Oh, that's APA from a truck. Holy shit. It's like full of water.
Oh, look at it come out.
Oh. Hey.
That's the run flat back there.
Perfect. Holy crap. Good God.
How old is that one?
Probably pretty old. Oh, there's still a ton in there.
Oh.
That was easy. Holy crap. It was like 1,000. Look at all those science project. Abort, abort. Abort.
I don't think that gas tank's good anymore. There was like 1,000 little ants in there. Eggs and babies that were underneath that floor. This 39 Mercury is like a living organism at this point. Alright, so we got my brand new Craftsman, not sponsored, power washer here. And we got some Simple Green, not sponsored, all-purpose cleaner. Only the best for the Swamp Mercury. The Swamp Merc. Throw some of that in there to get all the AIDS and SARS and...
This car's before AIDS.
Oh, Black Plague.
Yeah.
That should be enough. Alright. Turn our switch on. Alright, Jay. Have at it. Yeah. Lightly, sort of. All right, trunk time. You really didn't have to do the bumper. It's kind of junk.
Listen, you're gonna do the whole thing, you do the whole thing.
I don't think this is getting saved. Nice. Totally necessary for our show car. Skunk engine cleaner.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored yet. Skunk engine cleaner. You heard. I'm gonna show how great your product works. This thing will run after this. All right. That is a clean carburetor. Missed some spots. Right there. Look at all that gunk. Gunk didn't remove all that gunk. What the hell? But that carburetor is nice. Mint. Minty. What do you think, babe?
Still looks pretty dirty.
You didn't do a good job yet. Look at that. I can't take that to Grand National Roadster Show like that. All right, so we got the car all power washed, cleaned out, and kind of got to go over everything. And now that the car is not a hazardous waste zone, we can at least get a little closer and check things out. So number one, floor is like gone on this thing as expected. I'm not really surprised at all on it. The pretty much front to back floor is hanging on by a thread, so that definitely is no good. But depending what you're doing with the car, it may not matter. The other good things about the car, before we get into more bad, is the roof is good. The rear quarters are pretty good on the car. The dash is actually fairly complete and pretty nice. The gauge cluster is all there, and there's only one piece of glass on one of the gauges that's broken. We got the ignition, found the ignition key was in the ignition. Turned steering wheel unlocked. We were able to turn the steering wheel, so the steering is all freed up. The steering column works. Keys there. That's great. We found the other piece of trim for the steering column that's sitting up here, so that's nice. We also found one piece of trim that goes on the driver's door on the inside. All the stainless, or majority of the stainless on the car is good. There's not a ton missing, but the stuff that is here is actually really nice. The windshield is like really nice. I'm surprised that the stainless trim is so nice on the windshield and some of the other parts. Grill, like we showed you guys, is pretty darn good. Just a little bit of rust at the bottom. And obviously it's got a 59 AB with a 39 trans in it, which is cool. We don't know if the engine's good, but it's always a plus to have that stuff there and in the car. So we may be able to use it for other builds. I don't know exactly what we're doing yet, but all that stuff is there, which is a plus. We found a flathead screwdriver. That's great. We got this later flathead starter plate that I think is off a truck, so that's something I could sell on and recoup a couple of bucks. And we found the original radiator, which is good. A couple extra wide 5 wheels that we'll throw on the pile for whatever. So yeah, we found a bunch of stuff. The car is basically as rough as I thought it was. The frame's a bunch of rotten spots in it, as I would expect. I didn't really get to lift it in the air or crawl under it, but I could see through the floor. It's pretty bad. And most of the body mounts are gone. So this car definitely needs some help. I think this would be a huge candidate for doing a channeled and chopped custom. So I think that's what should be done with this car. Whether it's me or somebody else, I don't know yet. The more I work on it, the more I fall in love with it and talk myself into it, but we will see. Next steps for this car, we may even do it at the end of the day today, is take a ratchet strap on the passenger side and do a little bit of pulling to pull that door opening a little shut. I think what happened is because that inner rocker was ripped off completely. When we were dragging on the car and the rear spring being separated, it kind of tugged on the body a little bit. But I think if we put some pressure on it, we could pull that door shut, and then eventually I could get some bracing in there to brace the car up so it doesn't get more twisted. Most of all, I think this car needs to be saved. It's a 39 Mercury. Just like a 32 Ford, this is kind of the custom equivalent of that. And if you know anything about 39, 40 Mercs, they're very, very desirable, and they're quite expensive if you're just getting into this stuff. I know a cheap ass like me can't justify or probably afford to buy a really nice Merc to build into a custom. So something like this that's quite affordable, you could spend a little bit more money, but you can have something that's really cool in the end if you put the time in, which is kind of what we're trying to teach everybody with everything we do with this channel. So that's all I have for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed our exploration of the Swamp 39 Mercury. As I mentioned in the other video, it kind of is for sale. I haven't fully decided yet, but if you really are looking for a 39 project, I will do my best to give you honest description and pictures of it, and I will try and pass it on to a good home that's it's going to get built and not cut up. Otherwise, we're gonna probably pull the body off, brace it up, and put it away for a rainy day until we get through some of our other builds. I don't know yet. So thanks guys for watching. We do videos on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. If you haven't, definitely subscribe, and as always, share with a friend so we can keep this this old car habit and love alive. Thanks guys. Catch you later. Alright, occupational hazards of dragging crappy old cars out of the woods. You got big, mean motherfuckers like that hanging out. Uh-oh. Ah!
He's so cute. It's probably a she, actually.
And there's babies.
Yeah.
Little MRSA babies.